So, my dear friends, I wanted to, before we continue in our studies in twinkle, which is such a nice word to say, I want to share something about the arizal, whose yurtzeit is Hay of this Tuesday night, Wednesday. And this is a class that Rabbi Yitzchak Ginzburg gave to one of the high school girls, the class of high school girls in his high school. And they're probably about 15 years old. And I could understand. I'm so touched. Each word he said it, each word was like revealing a precious secret of the Torah. So I took notes. And I want to share. And you can hear the class yourself. It's really worth seeing him saying these holy words. If you're inspired by my notes, you can get it on Galei Night. Okay. So until the arizal, Panemius HaTorah, the inner part of Torah, was not taught in public. And then the arizal said, Yigia Hazman, the time has come to reveal this wisdom. It will bring the Geula closer. And since then, Rav Yitzchak said, we attempt to walk in the path of the holy arizal. And after the arizal came the Baal Shem Tov, who continued to reveal the wisdom of the arizal, and the Alter Rebbe revealed even more, all to bring the Geula. So revealing Panemius HaTorah in order to bring the Geula. Because Panemius is the soul of Torah. We understand that. Hasidus and Kabbalah is the soul of Torah. And let's see. And the arizal began and said it was a mitzvah to reveal Panemius HaTorah. And his main student, as we know, was Chaim Vital, who was a senior Mikubal, a senior Kabbalist at the time that the arizal arrived in Sfat in 1570. And so Chaim Vital wrote many praises of the greatness of the Ari that he saw with his own eyes. Okay, so this is some of the things that Chaim Vital wrote. When the Ari was asked how he merited revelations of Eliyahu Hanavi, because there were many great tzaddikim who didn't merit revelations of Eliyahu Hanavi. And so he said, Ma'od yagati, to merit this. I labored very, very hard in the depths of Torah, and especially Torah's Sod, the inner Torah, which was the Zohar. And he said sometimes he would just learn a few lines of Zohar, go over it and over it for a few weeks to really master. He labored over it. And Chaim Vital said to the arizal, many have labored with devotion, like the Ramak, but they didn't achieve the revelations of the arizal. And the Ari met Chaim Vital in the last year and a half of his life. You know, it's hard to believe, but the arizal was just in Sfat for a year and a half before he passed away. And all of the Torah of the arizal was revealed during that year and a half, and Chaim Vital wrote it down. So Chaim Vital said, I also put in great effort. And the arizal humbly answered, I put in even more effort to understand. So he put in this great effort to understand, and he was rewarded. So it's a lesson for us, Rabbi Yitzchak said. If we put in effort, the fountains of wisdom are revealed from the root of our souls. From the root of our soul. I thought that's an interesting idea. Where are the fountains of wisdom revealed from? From the root of our souls. That's beautiful. Beautiful source. And again, Rabbi Yitzchak said we should take this to heart. Okay, so some of the things Chaim Vital said about the arizal. He said that the Ari knew all the wisdom of this world, and we know, like, you know, all the wisdom in the last years, the fountains of the depths of science that are revealed are all preparation for the Geula. That was something that it said in the Zohar, that in the 600th year of the 6th millennium, there'd be great. It was like taking the line from Noah of the windows above opening and the depths opening. So and that's the year 1840. So a lot of, so Torah Or and Likutei Torah were published around that time. That's the wisdom from above, and the wisdom from below is like a lot of revolutions and waves and energy and light started happening around 1840. So, and all of it is to bring the Geula, keep that in mind. So the Arizal also had spiritual wisdom. And here, so, and it's saying, if you've been at his caver, there's like on the right side, from the women's part of the caver, on the right side on the wall, it says from Chaim Vital some of the praises of the Arizal. And it said he knew the language of birds. So isn't that handy? You could probably learn a lot. No, the birds can see far away. Yes, so he knew the language of birds. He knew the language of trees, the sound of the wind in the trees. He learned great wisdom. He knew how to communicate with everything that exists in reality. And Chaim Vital said, I saw it with my own eyes, even with domim, even with rocks. He could communicate with rocks. So he could communicate with all of reality. That's our guy, the arizal. So, and he knew the language of a flame. He could learn just the flickering of a flame. And the kavana is when we're lighting candles, we should keep in mind that the Ari knew how to speak to a flame. It's interesting because often we feel like with Hanukkah that the flames are telling us a story, but we also can speak to the flames. So yes, so the candles speak. He was able to get messages, wisdom from the candles speaking. Okay, now here's an exciting part. When a person would come to the arizal to request a soul tikkun, a rectification for their soul, and by the way, that itself always strikes me because it's really a level where what we want is a tikkun for our soul. Normally, it's normal, right? We want brachas for things that we want, things that we feel we need. But to go to a tzaddik and want a tikkun for our soul seems like a good thing. Why not? Let's get those souls tikkun. So the arizal, people would come to the arizal. And the arizal knew Hachmas Harpartsuf. He could read foreheads. The forehead tells everything that happened to a person, all the mitzvahs that he fulfilled and all the transgressions. So the arizal could read that on our forehead. And according to what he would read on the forehead, he would tell the person what his rectification was, what to do, and how to do tshuva. Isn't that great? And again, Chaim Vital is saying from what he saw and what he heard, the Ari said there are things too subtle to read on the forehead. You have to simply speak with the soul of the Jew who came for tikkun. When it was the subtle thing, speak to the soul. And the arizal would say to a person there, you don't hear me speaking, I'm speaking to your soul. Your soul tells me everything. That's how I can give you a tikkun. I mean, it's amazing thought to be with someone, and your soul tells them everything, and then they can give a tikkun. Okay, so Rav Yitzchak says we can learn a life lesson from the Ari. How is it possible to speak with someone's soul? How is it possible to speak with someone's soul? So number one, take notes here because it could come in handy, and this is for all of us. How do you speak to someone's soul? Number one, tremendous avos yisrael. If you love someone, it's a channel to enter inside his soul through love. So truly loving someone is a channel. Moshe Rabbeinu loved the Jewish people. Moshe Rabbeinu knew the special nigun of each soul. When he met each soul, he knew its special nigun. That's Moshe. The Arizal said he was the Moshe of his generation. Interesting. And I'm sure he said it very humbly. He was a humble guy. And with his avos yisrael, the Arizal could communicate with the soul. And okay, so this was so we're going to speak more about this idea of communicating with someone's soul, because it could come in handy, right? And we want to. So here, this is our subject. So the most important secret the Arizal revealed was Sod HaTzimtzum, the secret of Tzimtzum. Okay, we're going to go through a little review. We've spoken about it many times. Before creation, everything was light. Hashem moved the light aside to make room for the worlds. It's so poetic. Hashem, there was all in or Ein Sof light, and Hashem moved it aside to create this empty space to make a place for the worlds and you and me. So the light is moved aside to make room for the other. To make room for the other, I have to move the consciousness of myself aside. This is something we were talking about Hachna'ah when we were learning transforming darkness into light. That it's moving the ego aside, putting Hashem in the center of our consciousness and moving the ego aside. This is Iskafia, this is Hachna'ah. And also to move ourselves aside to make room for another person. What it's said, self-consciousness. In Hebrew, it's muda'ut shel atzmi. I have to move my self-consciousness aside. I remove myself. Then I can make room for you and begin to truly communicate with your soul. So we can all learn from this, Rabbi Yitzchak said. If we love our friend very much, I apply Sod HaTzimtzum to myself, not to think of myself and my own interests. So that's a big deal, because often we might have our own interests when we want to communicate with someone's soul, that we have to put our own interests aside, put ourself aside, and use love as a channel. Ani ma'od ohevet otach. I really love you. And then suddenly I see your soul and I can speak directly to your soul. It's such a beautiful idea. This is the special wisdom of the arizal. This is the secret of the doctrine of Tzimtzum, Sod HaTzimtzum, moving myself aside to make room for someone else. It's such a charming idea, the psychological ramifications. All my intention is focused on the other. The soul is revealed and it's possible to communicate. And this is my delight. It's a delight having a soul friend, right? Soul to soul, it's delightful. It's just delightful. And it is with this delight that Hashem created the world. With this delight, Hashem created the world. To have a soul to soul connection with us. It's a delight for Hashem when he has the soul connection with us. And this is making a dira b'tachtonim, the dwelling place below. Oops, whoops, I'm back. It's a little delicate here. 1 second, I want you to get the right angle. I'm staying calm though. Okay, I think it's time. We must make a l'chaim. L'chaim. Okay. Back to the dira b'tachtonim, the dwelling place below. So it said, why did Hashem create the world? Because he had a taiva for a dira b'tachtonim. He had a desire for a dwelling place in this lowest world, and that's us. That Hashem should be here and communicate with each person here. This is Hashem's delight, just like it's a delight for us to have a soul connection. So Hashem certainly sees each of us and speaks to our soul, and we have to walk in Hashem's ways, Rabbi Yitzchak said, and be able to speak to people's souls, our friends' souls, someone we love. To learn how to be without being seen. This is Tzimtzum. Then I can speak to your soul. And he's saying these things over and over. It really helps me hearing it again and again because it's so important. So Rabbi Yitzchak says we can hisbonon b'zeh. We need to meditate on this. This is something we need to meditate to become one with. And it brings us from the arizal to the Baal Shem Tov. The whole Torah of the Baal Shem Tov is Avas Yisro. It's based on the arizal, from the Ein Sof wisdom of the Ari. So coming down to the Baal Shem Tov, and the Baal Shem Tov taught we can access the ability to see hashgacha pratis in our life. And we've spoken about this so much, that all the circumstances of our life are from Hashem. They're all exact hashgacha pratis. So this is the das tachton of the Baal Shem Tov. This is the lower level of das, seeing hashgacha pratis in all aspects of our life. And from there, we reach the knowledge that it all is Hashem. Everything is Hashem. It's all Hashem. And all is good. And everything that is good, Hashem is good, and everything that happens is good. This is B'tachan. So this is Das Elyon. This is Das Elyon, that Hashem is good. It's all from Hashem, and Hashem is good. So Das Tachtan of the Baal Shem Tov is seeing Hashgacha Pratis and everything. And Das Elyon is that everything that happens is for the good. And Rabbi Yitzchak said, may the merit of the arizal protect us and all of the Jewish people. And in the merit of the arizal, may Mashiach come, and may we all walk in his ways and learn from him. So Rabbi Yitzchak says, so it's relevant to each and every person to speak to someone's soul. And we're being empowered by the arizal and Rabbi Yitzchak and each other to do these, that the tzaddik empowers us with the secrets that tzaddik taught us. We should be able to love people and communicate with their soul. And may these days be transformed into days of joy and uba l'tzion goel, and may Mashiach come. Yes, so that was a 17-minute class to the 15-year-old girls, which you may, if you'd like another review, I'm seeing the words come out of Rav Yitzchak's holy mouth, and it's almost like he's whispering a secret. It's very special. I recommend it. And then I also read on the Galei Nai webpage that, so we know that after the Ramak's passing, that's when the arizal began to publicly teach Panemius HaTorah. Again, this was the first time that Panemius HaTorah was publicly taught, that anyone could come and learn it. Then in Tzfat at that time was the Radbaz, Rabbi David ben Zimra, who was a teacher of the Ramak. And he told the arizal to stop revealing Panemius HaTorah until Eliyahu HaNavi appeared to the Radbaz, to David ben Zimri, and revealed to him a bit of the arizal's greatness. And then the Radbaz gave the arizal complete authorization to teach the secrets of Torah. And the Radbaz said to the arizal, reveal the secrets of Torah. The Panemius HaTorah from Mashiach's coming is dependent on this. So look, we're having a chance to do it. All of us together, we're learning the secrets of Torah. L'chaim, l'chaim. And now for those who have the Twinkle book already, see, I can only see 3 people, but you can now reach for your Twinkle book, or you can just listen to my melodious voice. Okay, so we were in chapter 2. And we spoke about how in Chumash speaks about 2 different ways to have length of days, 2 different mitzvahs are particularly mentioned. And one is respecting parents. We spoke about that last week. The idea that when we learn Torah, this is giving kavod to our parents. This is giving honor to our parents. Like now we're learning Torah, whether they're still in this world or whether they passed away, and we want to give kavod to them, make up for kavod that we want to give them. Learning Torah does it. We should have them in mind that this is for the honor of my parents. I love that. It's so great. It's like right now, this is for the honor of my parents, and we can all have that in mind. Okay, so that's conducive to longevity, honoring our parents. Now, the second one, that one's easy to understand. The second one's from page 31, sending away the mother bird. Now, that's a trickier one, right? So the introductory paragraph, okay, I'll just, even though we did it, I'll just read that paragraph again. Deriving benefit from a mother bird together with her chicks or eggs is forbidden by the Torah. Deriving benefit from them both together. It is also forbidden to take the chicks or eggs while the mother bird is nesting. So it's only when you want the chicks or the eggs Many sources state that sending away the mother bird instills the attribute of compassion in our souls. Before taking the offspring, the Torah obliges us to send away the mother bird so that she will not be present to experience the pain of seeing her offspring taken away. Indeed, the attribute of compassion is particularly valuable as we age. So, it's a little, we'll have to believe the sages. It makes sense that if you want to make an omelet, first send the mother bird away, then gather the kosher eggs. And then, okay, so it instills compassion. But what we're most interested in, of course, is what Panemius Torah, what the sod of the secret of Torah, what can we learn about this on a psychological level? Okay. So there's a number of, so the first one we did is the bottom of 31. The word mother, aim, aleph mem, can be vocalized to read if, im, aleph mem, with a different vowel. Sometimes we have to make a decision to do a good deed, but then we are confronted by a barrage of ifs and buts that hinder us from doing what we should do. Evasion and procrastination are the greatest obstacles in our service of God. So evasion, I guess, is like procrastination. Like we all know it. So what is the greatest obstacle in our avoda? Procrastination. So even if we're, God forbid, giving into it, we have to at least label it and be honest with ourselves. Now I'm procrastinating. Okay. So in this context, sending away the mother bird means abandoning all the ifs, buts, and excuses that hinder us and just doing the mitzvah. So that's one interpretation. Now we're getting to deeper, so on page 32, deeper interpretations. This is still a review. So then we spoke about Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Bar, who was a disciple of the Baal Shem Tov. And okay, so I'm going to start, since this is a review, I'm going to just start with the bottom paragraph on 32. For example, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Bar would only teach Torah when he was offered payment. He saw it as a sign that Hashem wanted him to speak in that place. However, while he was teaching his discourse, he would send away the mother, i.e. the thought that he would be paid for teaching, and only take the chicks, teach Hashem's Torah, which was his true desire. So the mother here is seen as like some outer motivation. Though it is interesting because, well, and that day when I was preparing this, I was offered to, someone wanted me to come and teach in Spot for the arizal. So they would pay me, and I thought, I can be just like Menachem Mendel of Bar, and go and go there. But once I start teaching, forget it, right? Because it doesn't really matter. We're not, okay. All right, so everyone's got that part there. So this is, okay, so the second paragraph, by our regular standards, this is the last paragraph of our review. By our regular standards, we should feel that Hashem is encouraging us to do the good deed by directing us to fulfill his mitzvahs for our own self-interests. Perhaps what motivates us is our desire for honor, personal pleasure, or monetary compensation. So it's saying that often our reason for doing a mitzvah is something out of self-interest. Because self-interest can motivate us to do mitzvahs, like having guests can be very entertaining, right? So it's a mitzvah to have guests, but I like to have guests. It can be very, like I have them come early and help, and then they're, they sing Nigunim. So it's really out of, okay, so you get the idea, self-interest. My motivation starts off with self-interest. Whatever it is under these circumstances, while engaged in the mitzvah, we must send away the mother, the self-interests that motivate us, and act with selfless enthusiasm. We do so by being aware that even though we intended to achieve a purely selfish goal, Hashem had Rahmanis on us, compassion on us, and sent us this mitzvah along the way. This is really a brilliant idea, how we spoke about this. This helps us with our shiftless. This helps us with our humility, that we don't let the ego rise when we do a mitzvah. We're giving Hashem credit for the mitzvah. Let's see how this idea is developed. And that eliminates that unfortunate sense that one can sometimes get, as kommt mir, as they say in Yiddish, it's coming to me. I did this mitzvah for you, and now you owe me something. But if I feel Hashem did the mitzvah. Okay, so let's go over it slowly. We must send away the self-interest that motivate us and act with selfless enthusiasm. We do so by being aware that even though we intended to achieve a purely selfish goal, Hashem had Rahmanas on us and sent us this mitzvah along the way. With this thought in mind, we can selflessly take the chicks by doing the good deed. Then it is permissible to capture the mother by collecting our original egotistical intention. It's fun for me. Following the act, we should humbly accept the fact that it was the selfish reason that really caused us to observe the mitzvah. We then give Hashem all the credit for the fact that we fulfilled it and acknowledge that even the power to do the mitzvah came directly from Hashem. Okay, so this is one of the, in Rabbi Yitzchak's book, Lev Udas, this is like a foundational idea to give Hashem credit for the mitzvahs we do. Why? Because Hashem gave us the situation. 2, Hashem gave us the energy, the life to do it. And 3, and this is the more subtle level, that Hashem gave us the motivation to do it, to give Hashem credit for the motivation to do the mitzvah. And then we stay, and the benefit of shiftless, of this humility, is that space that used to be filled with ego is now filled with simcha and Hashem's rachmanis. Much more pleasant than having to hold up my ego. Look at that great mitzvah I did. Now everyone owes me. Okay, so this is giving Hashem credit for the mitzvahs that we do. It's really important. It's something, okay, you got the idea. New materials. That's as far as we got last time. And now we have time for new material. By the way, everyone knows next week is Tisha B'Av, so we won't be having classes next Sunday, but Eretz Hashem in 2 weeks. Okay, so we're on the bottom of page 33. I'm just going to scroll through. Oh, look, there's more people. I'm just scrolling through a little. Yes, on this. Oh, look at that. There's Jill and Lido Palms and Dina and Pamela. More people. Chaya, yes. Wow. Ilana. Oh, I remember you, Ilana. Hi. Wow. Wowee, Cody. Okay, I really have to fix my computer. This is, oh wow, Chaya Kaufman, hi. Okay, great, okay, that was just a little break to communicate with real live people. Okay, I'm gonna leave it, okay. I only can see 4 at a time on my phone. Mashiach's nest. The mitzvah of sending away the mother bird is related to the revelation of Mashiach, who abides in the bird's nest, it says in the Zohar. Mashiach himself is the chick who we must extract from the nest. Mashiach is the chick whom we must extract from the nest. The mother in this case is the collective consciousness of the Jewish people, which hovers over the nest. So collective consciousness, Jewish people, is hovering over the nest. As long as she does so, we cannot take Mashiach for ourselves. This relates to the Talmudic dictum that Mashiach will arrive when the mind of the Jewish people is distracted from him, as we shall see more detail in the next chapter. So I think everyone's going to want to make sure that they come back for the next chapter. I've always wanted to know more about that. I'm sure we all have. This is illustrated by the fact that the mitzvah of sending away the mother bird applies only when one happens across the nest, when one was not consciously expecting to find it, and not when the nest is already in one's possession or in one's own courtyard. In other words, it's only when you're going along in the forest and happen to find a kosher bird sitting on its nest. It has to be hashgacha pratis to do this mitzvah. Okay. To reveal the bird's nest, where the spark of Mashiach dwells in our own consciousness, we must rectify the trait of anger in our souls. I'll have to read that again because that's an important one. to reveal the bird's nest where the spark of Mashiach dwells in our own consciousness. Remember, we have a spark of Mashiach in our own consciousness. We must rectify the trait of anger in our souls. This is alluded to by the fact that Nes, Khan, Kuf Nun, and anger, Kas, Kaf, Ayin, Samach, share the same numerical value of 150. It's interesting because I remember once learning from Y.Y. Jacobson, I think the Alter Rebbe might mention it in Tanya Nageris Tshuva that we did, which we're still finishing, but that the arizal made 150 fasts for kas, for anger, for having a temper tantrum. And I was thinking, imagine somebody did those 100, and they got angry, they did the 150 fasts, and then the next time, I'm sure they're not going to get angry. They'll just say, breathe deeply, walk around the block. anything but getting angry. I don't want to do another 150 fasts. Okay, so we have to tikkun anger, let's face it, right? Okay, we've been trying to avoid it, but we have to do it. Anger is a most undesirable state of mind in which we are distracted not only from Mashiach, but from Hashem himself. So that's true. We do a scientific study. If we note we're in the midst of an attack of anger, we forgot about Hashem. Because if we remembered Hashem, we would know that this is all hashgacha pratis. It's a challenge. It's not something to get angry. We forgot Hashem. So much so that the Talmud states that behaving violently in anger is comparable to idol worship. That's from Gemara Shabbos 105b. And according to the Zohar, this is true of anger in general. And this is what Hasidus teaches, that anger is like idol worship because it's forgetting Hashem. It's thinking that there's a mistake. There's a mistake in the world, and I'm angry about it. We have to, okay, so let's all make a l'chaim that we're going to work. We're going to empower each other to overcome anger. L'chaim, l'chaim. Okay, so we're up to here, lengthened days. Lengthened days on page 34. In Kabbalah, longevity, arichus yamim, corresponds to the level of arich anpin, the long countenance. That's basically like Chachma and Bina, it's way up there, which, as we saw above, is related to the union of father and mother principles and to patience. Patience. We can rectify the aging process by aspiring to reach this state of consciousness, of patience. Rectify aging by reaching patience. So we can understand how patience is really the opposite of anger. It's like, we understand that, you know. So it's something, and it's to rectify aging. It's very interesting information. I want everyone to practice. We have 2 weeks, 2 weeks to the next class. And they also say, especially now during the 9 days, it's important not to get into anger. And we don't want to bring any gevura down, any severity into the world. This too is the bottom of page 34. This too is achieved by rectifying our anger. The immature zer anpin, small countenance, represents impatience that manifests as anger or righteous indignation. So zer anpin is the 6 midos, chesed, gevura, tiferes, netzach, hod. So it's the emotions. So the unrectified emotions is impatience, which manifests as anger, like they're so closely related. If I'm impatient, if I get impatient, I get angry easily. So we have to empower each other. Hashem should bless us with just erech ampin, just lots and lots of patience. Like Hashem has patience for us, we should have patience for each other and ourselves. Okay. Our task is to elevate ourselves from this level of consciousness to reach the infinitely patient arich ampin. That's the long face in Kabbalah. We can achieve this by constantly internalizing the idea that Hashem is responsible for everything that happens, So we're gonna go over that in a moment. I'll just finish the sentence. And that even sinners can only perpetrate their crimes by merit of the divine spark of life that vitalizes their souls. We therefore need not become angry at them, since Hashem has facilitated their sin, as it were. The Alter Rebbe speaks about this in Tanya. I mean, this is David HaMelech understood this when someone was cursing him, that that it was coming from Hashem. So this is, it's really this year when we were learning transforming darkness into light, and we spoke about this idea that the circumstances of our life are all from Hashem. The circumstances now, all the past circumstances, and I really, in repeating it, I really felt it helped me tremendously, because it's a tendency to think, if we don't like something, that it's a mistake, or people aren't good. But he's saying blame Hashem, and we do want to have a good relationship. We want to have a good relationship with Hashem, because He loves us and He's our Father. So we have to bring it all back to Hashem. This is what it's saying. This is that Hashem is responsible for everything that happens, there's things we don't understand, of course. And we don't have to understand it. I mean, the Rebbe would say there's no way to explain the Shoah. There's no justification for it. There's no justification for the suffering of the Jewish people. And when Mashiach comes, we'll understand that it was all for the good. Oda Hashem ki anaftabi. The Rebbe would say as a child, he was waiting for this, see this pasuk from Isaiah, from Yeshayahu. I'll thank you, Hashem, for you were angry at me. So we don't have to understand. We just have to know that it's all from Hashem and it's all good. This seems like basic for one's mental health somehow. That everything that constant says here, you see the top of 35, constantly internalizing this idea. It's something that we really have to meditate on, constantly internalizing the idea that Hashem is responsible for everything that happens. And that if anyone, God forbid, transgressed against us, for some reason Hashem put these circumstances in our life, and somehow we have the ability to transform it and become deeper people and more compassionate people and less judgmental people. That's the transforming of darkness into light. Nevertheless, being patient doesn't mean remaining indifferent to a wrongful state of affairs. Our sincere care should be expressed through more productive ways than through anger. Here's an important idea. We're not indifferent, but our care is being expressed in a more productive way than anger. Isn't that clever? I wish I had thought of that. This is Rav Yitzchak is telling us. We're not indifferent, we care, we're just not expressing our care as anger. We can accomplish this by hovering over reality with maternal concern, without actually touching it with our own ego. Now, isn't that interesting? To be concerned with it, because the guys touching it with the ego, somehow that's kind of seems like a path to anger. Like then I get attached and righteous indignation. And so we're hovering over reality. Without actually touching it with our own ego. This is very deep stuff here. By dismissing the mother bird and taking the chicks or eggs, we adopt the role of the mother figure, the Shekhinah, in her place, to unite with Hashem, our Father, in our consciousness and achieve longevity. So we identify with the Shekhinah, we're part of the Shekhinah, and we want to unite with Hashem. We want to be one with Hashem in our consciousness. So the more here's another, this half a page here is filled with meditation, different meditations. So we have this meditation. How many meditations? Wow, so beautiful. That the Shekhinah, to unite with Hashem, that we are the Shekhinah uniting with Hashem in our consciousness. And this is one of the paths to longevity. So we can't even take our group get better picture, because I can only see 4 people at a time. Well, if someone can see all the people, everyone could put their camera on it, if someone who is clever enough to take a picture, they can take a picture and send it to me. Is anyone up for doing that? Let me scroll through. Who can take a picture?
I'll try.
Okay. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, and we'll all smile. 1 second. Okay.
I have to make it bigger to see how many people can get in.
I think 25 can get in on a computer. All right. Well, if it doesn't come easily, we'll have. Can you do it?
I'm going to try. 1, 2, 3.
Shkoyak. So if it works, please send it to me on WhatsApp or anywhere, Facebook, wherever. So everyone should have an easy fast. It should be a feast. We should have Mashiach. These days should be transformed. And I'll see you all in 2 weeks. Emeretz Hashem. Thank you all for joining me. It's wonderful to see whoever I got to see. Mwah. Lots of love.